Oh boy. Hello. How's it going, people? Been a while. We've got best of fives action tonight. BLG, Weibo. We'll be breaking down, the entire series. All the games. You name it. I'm really looking forward to this. And yeah. Let's get into some League of Legends tonight. I'm looking around the merch. Obviously, new North American champion in the women's division of NXT. My favourite WWE wrestler at the moment, Big Fallon Henley. Shout her out. Yeah, I kind of want them to release some merchandise, like NXT merch, but I'm pretty sure she'll get a new card in WWE Supercard tomorrow. That's when it goes live, the PLE cards anyway. But tonight... Ooh. I'm hearing some crackling, so I apologise. 1 second. How does that sound? That seems a little better. So, I'm just going to wait for my stream to catch up so I can actually hear you guys. There we go. Cool, that's cool. I'm looking forward to tonight. Do you know what would be useful is if I could actually view my chat on my phone. Sadly, I can't. But hey. So, best of 5. This isn't the game I want. This is game 3. This is game 1. That's game 3. Game... Yeah, tomorrow is Halloween, isn't it? So, the interesting thing about Halloween for me is I've got a... Well, I'm dressing up for work. And yeah, that's a interesting set of circumstances, but hey ho. Let's just go. It's weird, you can't actually view on your phone. Live chat. I'll just try and pop it out. Settings. Chat type. All messages. There we go. So, there we go. I can now see chat while we're doing this. I'm also going to put some shoes on because my feet are going to get sore on my hard floor. Actually, no, I'm going to put some pillows down. Why not? I can stand on my pillows. Oh. Got my nice fluffy bedding on. I've really risen to this moniker of standing streams. They're actually really good for you. But yeah, I've been stood here talking for a while. Not actually doing anything, so let's go, shall we? Game number 1, semi-finals. It's LPL versus LPL. Weibo take on BLG, and Weibo start on the blue side. Bans coming through right now. Silas, Aurora. Yone could be a power pick here. You've also got the likes of the Ashe, as well as some other realistical good opportunities like the Callista. Now, Light Elk, 2 ADCs. Light, I would say, the more consistent, liking the more Kaiser-esque picks. The safe option, Xayah. also is an option. Oriana's been taken off the board here, and that means that we're probably going to see something like, I don't know, first pick being Yone if it's left open at this stage. You've got Rumble as an option. I think BLG ban the Yone if they don't fear it, or fear it coming out from Weibo. They ban the Maokai, which kind of just leaves Yone first pick. The response from BLG probably will be top, with giving Bin his Jax or Rumble, as well as then going for Skarner jungle. That's kind of seen a bit more high priority picks when it's left up and available. The response from Weibo, I think, will be getting something in the jungle that's AP or their counter pick top. Because there's the likes of the Renekton that can play into this Jax. Poppy's a good option. There's a few decent picks that you might go towards into a Jax. But again, we can think of this Yone as a flex. Breve, very capable at playing the champion, but Xiaohu, obviously, he's a goated player that's, I think he played when he was in the top lane Yone. But hey, it is what it is. Kalista Renata is the lock-in for Weibo. They've gone for a very aggressive bot lane, which is kind of forcing BLG to lane swap. Smolder comes through here into this Yone. This is a good matchup for the Smolder. You get to punish Yone's aggressive trade patterns by building up your stacks. And while the Yone will eventually get push, you're still going to be able to match its pressure with the fact that you're going to be able to pick up your, obviously, execute quicker against a melee champion. Now, Knight probably will go for the grass build that we've seen out of Chovy more specifically, so that you can kind of get more and more health and realistically be a bigger threat into the late game because you're harder to kill off. As, let's be honest, Fleet Footwork receiving a massive nerf, it basically means that champions are going towards Grasp instead, as it's a lot more, well, healing. So, second ban phase, we'll probably see a few bans towards the bot lane. AP picks are a little bit of an issue for BLG, especially now the Ziggs have been removed. I think Kaiser kind of has to be banned out here by Weibo if they want to get complete removal of AP options. I think Kaiser plays okay into the Kalista. There you go. So BLG gonna either need to get something AP in the bot lane. It's a bit hard to do. Or they go for something else. Varus is an okay option. You go for the poke lethality build instead of the attack speed build. You get a lot of harassment, but it is lacking in the AP. He isn't that strong. I do like it overall here for Elk, as he does have the ability to just harass from range, and it kind of outlines this BLG comp. They want to play with a bit more range while also having a strong front line. So it's mainly a front to back comp. I think they'll probably round out their support pick with a bit more agency. You could go for an Enchanter here, considering you've got a decent front line with the Skarner Jax. But I expect maybe a Rel, honestly, to come through here. Now, Poppy comes through, makes sense into this Jax. You kind of negate his ability to play. I'm pretty sure you deny the flap as well of the Smolder. So you are going to have a lot of value going into this BLG comp. You stack up the armor as well. It's a very solid pick. Now, rounding out this Weibo comp, you need a bit of AP. They're realizing, well, our jungle can be our AP pick, so get themselves the brand, and that's going to be a lot of bouncing flames in this comp. I like Weibo's comp. You've got a lot of agency in terms of team fighting. Not much protection for the backline, but you've got an alright comp. In the realistical team fighting, you kind of have to expect Brief to land big Keeper's Verdicts onto BLG, onto mainly Shun and Bin, in order for Weibo to win the fight. Because if they get knocked out, there's no frontline protection for these carries of BLG. Now, we do see BLG round out their comp with a Nico. A lot more AP there. It's a support that's your AP carry, realistically speaking. And to be honest, as a whole, this champion in support role will not have that much power in terms of burst. But it's mainly there to set up for the team at this stage. Getting some big pop blossoms will be nice for the team. And I think that you're going to have to rely heavily on that setup for the big team fights, because there is some good lockup on BLG if they're able to close the distance. You've got the Varasult, the Pop Blossom, and the E from the Nico to keep people in place in that bot lane. Jax has a Counter Strike. You've got then the Impale from Skarner. You've got a ton of lockdown on his BLG comp that playing against it is going to be quite hard. And Weibo, the deck slightly is stacked against them here, considering the fact that they are lacking a solid engage. It's going to be down to execution. Who will win the opening game of this series? Because, let's be honest, it's a hard one to do. We are hopefully getting into game very soon. It does not appear we are. I think we've got a tech pause. So because of that, we're skipping forward to game number 1. Let's get on to the Rift. And this is the interesting thing about Nico level 1s. You can feign your position on the map by pretending to be something that you are not. The fact that On is disguising as Varus allows for... Well, it's the threat of the extra range Varus has. You typically... If you wanted to fake which side you're starting on, which they are doing, you typically disguise as the Skarner. Because he's kind of the guy that you want to, well, steal away camps. Interestingly, they haven't done that. Skarner stayed top and they haven't feigned the Skarner pick, which is kind of surprising. Because if you do that, it kind of leads Weibo to assume that he's on the bottom side of the map. That is kind of surprising, but yeah. On's going to just walk around like the Jax. This is kind of smart because, well, a lane swap's happened. People typically have their top laners not sit in the 2v1. And this is where top laners kind of just hover in the mid lane. Now, I don't actually see the runes because we haven't had a flick of the runes on screen. But I'm pretty sure it is Grasp Smolder, even though we don't get to see it. Yeah, you can see the little green sparkles around his paws. It is Grasp on the Smolder. So, Knight's going to be picking up HP. And Bin's soaked up quite a bit of obvious XP from the mid-wave. Surprised he used Counter-Strike early, because he is now putting himself in a difficult situation against Breathe. He has TP'd as well. So Weibo do get to keep their TP on their top laner, who is getting, well, I would have said a slight lead outright on his own, because he's able to actually sit in a wave and farm. Now, that being said, he hasn't picked up any CS. The CS has gone over to Light, but it's realistically the XP he's gained off of it, so he can TP to bot wave, hit level 3, and isn't feeling threatened by the campers. Bin's flash to the mini wave, realizing potential dive can come through. He's so close to level 3, in fact he will tick over, but he's so low. If Tarzan was on this top side, he would have been dove. And I think he was expecting maybe to be dove by Weibo, hence why he flashed to get as much XP as possible. The issue for them here, BLG, is they don't actually know where Tarzan is on the map. So this potential dive being set up here is Elk tanks. Oh, light tanking 2 tower shots. Puts it in an iffy situation. Meanwhile, bot side, the 3v1 will happen. Waiting for him to E from Nico, but it will not come through. Instead, it's going to be the Scanner smashing the Poppy into the wall. Good flash out there from Breathe as the health bars on BLG go incredibly low. 2 tower dives not coming into fruition as neither team get an early advantage. Meanwhile, mid lane, Tarzan showing up. The Seer lands, getting the flash out from Knight. So, we're seeing some plays starting to come to light as Tarzan makes his presence known in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Shun makes his presence known in the bot lane. Realistically speaking, what we are seeing is 2 teams bringing it in this early game, and it's through map presence. I'd say the big advantage right now is the fact that BLG were able to ascertain 3 plates in that bot lane compared to none for Weibo in the top, which is giving Elk this 200 gold lead. And while it doesn't equate to much right now, it's still an advantage as mid lane, Xiaohu just going to Q3 to safety. Not going to get pressured that hard. So it gets to stay alive. And yeah, at this state of the game, what we're seeing is realistically a standard slow setup. As Xiaohu's starting to trade, but these trades aren't looking that favourable as 4 members of BLG in this mid lane right now. They really want to play for these grubbies. But Weibo already starting them up. Brand exceptionally good at taking these camps. Going to secure 1 and will smite the 2nd. So a very good clear here by Tarzan to get 2 grubs in the face of BLG. And this is the strength of Brand in the jungle, is how good he is at clearing AoE camps. As the root comes through from the Nico, Skarner charges forward, gets the flash out there of the carries. Heal also burnt as Guardian Prox keeps Light alive a little longer. A lot of damage down there by BLG, but it won't result in a kill just yet. Instead, what's going to happen is Elk's going to set up another push here. And this could be the 4th plate of the game for the BLG ADC, who is slowly but surely getting more and more gold. The plate goes over to BLG, and yeah. On the bottom side of things, Light's been forced to go bot. And that's a huge play for BLG because while I'd say Weibo are more likely to secure another objective in terms of the Drake, it isn't the most beneficial considering the amount of plates and gold being funneled into Elk is exceptionally high. He's already sitting at his serrated Dirk and is just going to be able to continue to scale. And let's be honest, this is this is attack speed Varus with the Hail of Blades. I was thinking it was poke. With the fact he's gone Hail Blades, it leads me to believe he's more likely to go for the lethality, just outright attack speed builds that you go, instead of like the Comet build. But BLG setting up the potential dive, 4 members down here. 3 of Weibo in the area. Fate's called. Gonna keep Crisp alive, but Xiaohu is hovering. TP gonna come through here by Bin. gets him to the top side of the map because he's realizing that this Poppy is starting to get ahead. Already 600 gold over to Breathe. This early game's going okay for him. The issue is, the game is going exceptionally well for Elk. As another wave crashes into this tower, the plate will fall. It won't go over, giving the local gold to BLG. And because of the sheer amount of pressure being put onto the bot side map by the LPL first seed, they're able to secure the first Drake of the game. And it's surprising that that's actually happened, considering the fact that Bin TP'd out of the bot side map, meaning that Weibo could have forced an advantage around a potential play. If one were to come to fruition, they could have realistically forced heavily into the members of BLG. That doesn't happen, and because Weibo actually fully exit the area on their resets, Elk's just going to get a full tower here with no real response on the map. And if the game plan wasn't already clear for BLG, it's simple. Give as much gold as possible to Elk. Weibo are just so behind on the tempo, in my opinion, that they're not really gaining too much on the map, as the lane swap's not really worked out for them. BLG are content with farming, and while, sure, 5 grubs will go over, grubs are very circumstantial as to how much power they have. If you are able to push out on the map and essentially siege, they're great. However, with how this game's going so far, the early game control BLG have is really not resulting in the ability for Weibo to get tower damage down. When we crest over to the 14-minute mark and see the turret plate difference, you're going to see how much Elk is actually getting, as once again, he's on a tower. Look at the bot side of the map. Breathe and Light are nowhere near this bot lane tier 1. And while it's happening, Bin's playing smart. He's not sitting near the tower where he can give over an easy first blood. Instead, he's just sitting back, ceding pressure, because I'm not saying Poppy can not be a carry. It's the fact that the input that Jax can have is, meanwhile, mid, the Fate Seal's going to come through here, but Xiaohu's unable to escape. It's an impale that forces his flash out. Now, that's a big set of abilities and tools burnt from the Weibo mid laner. But let's be honest, it's still BLG winning out. I'd say that Weibo will get a bit more gold because they get the tier 2. But you have to realize there's a 1.4k gold lead in that bot lane already. And that is without anyone really affecting the matchup with any ganks. It's just been the pressure being exerted by BLG onto whichever side of the map Elk is. And I'm gonna say, while it seems crazy to give credit, what On is actually doing with this Nico is so effective. And this is from a support main speaking. The reason it's effective is Nico is essentially forcing the waves back with her clone. I saw it a few minutes ago. Essentially what On is doing is positioning the clone before the enemy wave gets to you. And because of how BLG are moving around the map, it's causing Weibo to fall behind the tempo. And essentially, because the wave is being pulled by a Nico clone, it means that BLG's waves are hitting tower quicker, and thus resulting in a higher pressure point onto the map for the team that Weibo can't really match. So, as Varus's thrown out here, we could see a potential fight as Tarzan's health bar is immediately chunked. It is traded with Elks, which I'd say is exceptionally worth it, but Crisp takes a massive piercing arrow to the face, forcing him back as well. But yeah, what we're seeing now is On using the clone to secure vision. And this is kind of like a pseudo Maokai. If you want to know why Maokai has been in the meta for so long, it's because of the effectiveness of the saplings. It is free vision. Nico has a similar sort of thing, but it's a little bit less in terms of how long it lasts on the map. Nico's lasts for about 10 seconds at most, dependent on what taunt you do or action you do. And it's a little less effective, as we are going to possibly see a Herald fight here, but Elk is just winning this fight outright. Now, the Herald will de-leash and reset as BLG just content. They're forcing Weibo back with the poke, and then just stepping up and killing the towers. And we haven't really discussed this yet, but Knight and Xiaohu kind of had zero impact on this game. And the Smolder is fairly even with farm, but still has a gold lead over the opposition. I'm pretty sure it's a turret plate that's caused it. But Herald started up once more by Weibo this time. Keeper's verdict going to be channeled, forcing Shun out the fight. So it's an easy smite secure for Weibo. The issue is, that's the Poppy ult down, with second Drake on the table for BLG. And I think, well, just looking at where the LPL first seed are heading, it's straight to the pit as the Drake is started up, and Weibo have no vision on its bottom side of the map. There's no real potential dive or play towards this objective, so BLG sneak ever closer to the soul. Granted, it is a pretty weak soul with Cloud being the prize. I'd still say it's worthwhile, considering the cooldowns on the ultimates that you get. Especially Nico ult. It's such a big ulti to have that Pop Blossom to come out from absolutely nowhere and just dismantle a team. Plus, you've got a lockdown of the chain of corruptions from the Varus, so there's that. So, let's take stock of how things are going. 1.5 items complete on this Varus, as he's got his tunnel as well as the opportunity online. The gold lead has shrank slightly in that bot lane though. It's no longer like a 1.3k gold lead for Elk, it's down to about 900. Well, it's about 1,000 now. And as a whole, BLG, I think, are fine with that. The amount of control they can kind of ascertain on an area of the map with the poke and harassment their comp does, and the amount of vision control On can kind of essentially put down with this Nico, I'm sure they're content with how the map is being played out. Now, Herald's going to be dropped topside map. Honestly, I think it's a bit of a waste. Tower was pretty much dead without it being dropped. The issue is, if this Herald gets a second charge, Smolder's going to try and clear it out. It will get the second charge, so that's where the worth is found. But the caveat to Weibo grouping to get a second charge is that, well, Bin's just going to secure a tier 2 in the bot lane. And this Jax that we haven't really talked about gets some nice gold, a nice gold injection into him. And because Weibo overcommitted to that top side as well, Elk gets the mid tier 1. BLG have cracked all the outer towers, plus one tier 2. They're already so far ahead in tempo that Weibo really need to step it up. And this game, you look at their comp as a whole, they do scale okay, but I'd rather have a Smolder. I'd rather have this Varus and Jax able to play on the map and just be absolute menaces. So, there's a lot for Weibo to do here as this game goes on. If they want to remain in contention for the... Well, they need to play hard if they want to play in contention. As the Varus ult lands this arrow as well. It deletes Chris from where he stands. First Blood goes over to Elk with a solo bolo to pick us off. That is actually massive. A minute 30 until the objective, and BLG's ADC is on 2 items. Same for the Smolder. And this is going to be quite hard for Weibo to play this game now. And you just take a look at the record. It's fairly even between Xiaohu and Knight. And I think that record will sway in favor of one of these guys more than the other for this series. Because as a whole, it's been exceptionally close between these two guys throughout their illustrious careers. Obviously, Xiaohu, the more tenured of mid laners. But yeah, you look at the international appearances, basically, Knight has essentially 5 LPL titles and an MSI title. It's the same equivalent to the amount of international appearances he's actually had, if you count it all up. But yeah, only one, if you think about it, only one tournament he hasn't actually won in his career. So 1 LPL title, which is nuts if you think about it. So, BLG moving towards this bottom side of the map. Soul point on the table. Knight starting up the objective. And BLG get to just secure easy pressure on the map. On going to be an absolute menace, using the Skarner as kind of a dissuasion for Weibo to step forward. Bin trying to get on the flank to put pressure down as the dance around the river begins. No one wants to see this objective, but BLG can if they want to. But this is the LPL, and I don't think giving up easy objectives is the name of the game. Mum gets called as Breve takes a lot of damage. The sneeze slowing him down. But the Poppy is quite tanky at this stage of the game. Sundered Sky build. So any auto attack she's able to get down onto a target will heal her back up. But TP is available as the Protector's Vow comes through for Breve. He's onto his 3rd item now. Tarzan roaming up to this Drake pit as over the wall goes Xiaohu. TP's going to come in. That will definitely be Breve coming over to the play. Drake to about 50% as Poppy flashes in, trying to get onto one, but it's not going to be much. Keeper's Verdict's going to knock Jun out the pit, but the Drake will fall in time. Fate Seal gets onto the backline, but Elk's able to flash away. BLG disengaging as that's going to be the hostile takeover doing work, but on the backside, Bin going to be deleted by Tarzan, isolated, left by his team. As night falls in the onslaught, the chase down by Weibo. Elk takes the pyroclasm, takes the burning sear, and tick, tick, down he goes to Tarzan as the brand finds the kill. We haven't talked about Tarzan's brand really this much in the game, but it's been unabated. The Liandry's burn does a lot. And Weibo get to the Baron because there's no real contest for it. Shun is alive, but he's not going to go towards a pit. Instead, just going to clear out his own jungle, as Weibo will secure the big purple worm and take the lead in this game. So, let's break it down. It's Breve going aggressive to start us off. He's just forcing on back, and once he gets close, it's really easy for him to land the keeper's verdict. There's no CC on BLG. Knight's forced to flash out from the Fate Sealed, and this is where BLG gets split thanks to the hostile takeover. Now it's a split fight as Bin's just left to die because he tries to make a flanking play onto the backline of Weibo, but it's not enough. It's a Pillar of Flame. Because of how the Pillar of Flame or brand passive works, if the target is already ignited and you land a Pillar of Flame, it's extra damage coming out onto the target. So Tarzan just utilizing his spells effectively. He did want to execute, obviously, with the Q, but it won't actually get that. Instead, he gets it with the Leandries, which is fair enough. I'm pretty sure he's just built Rylai's off of his back from Baron, which is going to realistically allow him to have a little bit more impact on the map, as that's going to be Mum Throne. Fate's Call used there by Light to keep his support alive, but let's be honest, Xiaohu could be in a bit of trouble. Forced to use a QSS, as that's going to be the Scanner burning the flash, but the chase down Bin hunting Soul and Bound comes through, and Xiaohu's just buying time for his team to get a bit of a push, but they're not going to be able to do so. Pop Blossom used, it's not needed, as Bin gets a shutdown, as Light trying to tangle with Knight, but it's not going to be easy, as the double ADC comp of BLG starting to unload. That Baron gold shrinking as these plays continue forward. It's only about a 400 gold lead off of this Baron, and BLG are weathering the storm well. No towers have realistically been threatened with the Baron just yet, as Knight will pick up the wave in this top side. The tier 2 won't be killed off, and we haven't really discussed this, but Knight has gotten a lot of stacks on this smolder. In fact, it says 269, I think. So nice. And yeah, as a whole, he's not really been threatened at all in this game. 0, 1, and 0, but he's still a threat. And he's just been able to farm pretty freely throughout this game. And it's only in that last fight where he actually got killed off. So he's been unabated for most of this, and I think this next fight is going to be real telltale of how this series will go. Soul Point yet again in 30 seconds if BLG get it. Weibo will tie up the Drake score if they're able to secure it. And if you think about how easy it is for Weibo to get in the pit and secure it, BLG need to realistically evaluate how they play these fights. The Keeper's Verdict is such an effective tool of keeping Shun out from the objective. Weibo have the tools needed to make it hard. And I think BLG need to realistically make the players. The TP flank's going to come through here as Xiaohu's hunting for the fight. But is that TP wasted? Weibo will secure mid push, but Elk's just going to respond with clearing the wave out himself as the Keeper's Verdict's used. Breeve's on the wrong side of the map, and the potential smite could come through. Weibo, though, quick to secure it as BLG not able to contest. And Elk could be caught out. He's got the Edge of Night to protect him as the Pot Blossoms use. Xiaohu's tucked up and caught. Rooted in place. The Impale will not net a kill for BLG as the Soul Unbound just gets Xiaohu back out of the fight. Weibo getting overzealous, some may say, around potential plays, as that was a bit of an overcommit from Xiaohu there. Trying to get something for the team, but with Baron up in 40 seconds, the game, I think, is getting a lot harder for them to play. They need a miracle fight. Smolder is fully online. More stacks he gets right now, the stronger he is getting. Bin, already on 2 items, got the Seeker's arm guard in his back pocket as well. He's going to be a very hard target to kill. BLG are very effective when it comes to the next fight. Nico, while not the most damage, does have the ability to make her own plays. The Pot Blossom is a threat. The Proto Belt to just eject it forward is there. But the Baron is going to be started here by Weibo, forcing BLG to make a play. Will they contend? The Baron lands the Pillar of Flames. That's going to be a fate called as Bins forces Seeker's arm guard early, flashing to safety. A lot was invested there by Weibo. It's the Callisteral, the Renateral, just for the Seekers and the Flash. But could they catch Shun as Breeves getting chunked out incredibly low? The Poppy doesn't have the most resistances as Bin's on the flank. He's caught out Xiaohu. The fate sealed will not be enough to get to safety as Elk gets the kill. The Impale lands, and that's going to be crisp falling. The bailout will not happen as Elk secures another. BLG find 2 on the retreat from the pit, and they're instead the ones to turn to Baron. It should be an easy secure, but TPs are going to be invested by Weibo. Breeves trying to get into the area, but the Baron will fall. Weibo cannot stop the take, and the Baron power play will go through to BLG. So, let's look at it. It's initially Bin's TP. It was on vision. But with how Weibo backed away from the pit, they got corralled. It's a good position by the Jacks to not get yeeted over the wall. And because he played that well, it meant that Xiaohu couldn't escape from Elk's Q, and it was kind of an easy telegraph to land it. Then it's just a follow-up. It's just so much poke and harassment out from BLG to secure another kill on the exit from the Weibo jungle. But now, with the Baron in their back pockets, they can start to siege and crack open these tier 2s. A TP flank's going to come through here, as Xiaohu is in a position to make a play. Breeves trying to go forward, will get the flash out from on. But that's about it. The Nico's going to be caught as the Pot Blossom's going to knock 2 into the air. Scanner's in the area as the Impale will land. It's going to be a brief pull back. Hostile takeover will disengage BLG as it's going to be 1 kill picked up already for Weibo. As arms fall and Nico will not be able to fight. Fate's Call will pull Crisp to safety as Elk's Varus is hitting hard. 4 completed items on the Varus. And with the extra added safety of the Edge of Night, Elk is a monster in this game right now. 3-1-0. A 1.8 gold lead over Light. BLG actually almost lost their inhibitor. Pretty sure that would have been Xiaohu pushing. But yeah, as a whole, BLG still have control on the map. This is an actual effective Baron power play. 2.5k off of this objective comparative to the 400 gold from Weibo, but the game's not over yet, as the potential Drake fight will just start up as Breeve's going aggressive, but he's isolating himself. Pot's Blossom will not land onto anyone as a redemption heals back up Weibo. But they still have to get towards the pit. The harassment from this Varus is incredibly high, as Chris is already taken incredibly low. Knight's on the side, and they're pinching and tweezering Weibo onto the wrong side of the rift. Chris trying to handshake them back as the Fate Seal's going to come through. They're turning onto one, but this Nico is the surprise target. Seeker's arm guards used, but it's just going to be the Impale pulling Breve into realistically a dangerous situation. On the other side of the fight, Bin is isolated from his team. He is almost certainly a sacrificial lamb. As Breve, the Poppy, is just able to walk away. Knight's going to be able to secure the trade of kills, but because of where the wave is in mid, Weibo will secure the mid lane tier 1. A lot of action happening in the space of a few seconds there, but let's maintain some facts of what just happened. BLG got to Soul Point, and in a pretty scattered fight, it was a 2-for-1 in favor of Weibo, but BLG, as well as the the tower take, but you have to realize where the kills actually went. Zhao Hu secured one. And the kill onto Bin, well, that went onto Light, I'm pretty sure. It should be, yeah. Meanwhile, Knight is the benefactor of a kill onto the Poppy. I'd say all the kills went onto the correct people, but it was a really just a nothing fight. The gold still remains even, but the Drake buff is still in favor of BLG. They're ever closer to Soul. And with Baron up in a minute's time, you have to feel that that will be where this game is decided. Take a look at the damage. You already know where the leads are. As the Impale lands, that's a dead brand just before the Baron is secured. Zhao Hu trying to make a play, but he's going to be able to stay alive due to the bailout. Fate's Call is going to be used as BLG overzealous, caught in the area. 1-for-1 trade though as Knight and On showing up to make this an even fight. And Knight's getting the execute. He's looking for more as Zhao Hu going to be tagged and is burning. Knight's gone for an interesting build here. Leandries as his third item technically. So he's going to be burning through targets, and this is very interesting if you think about it. We were saying earlier how BLG kind of lacked AP, bar the Nico. Essentially, Knight's trying to get it with his build as a lovely charge through the wall there secured the pick for Jun and Elk. Zhao Hu then gets really lucky with the Light securing the kill onto Elk, and that's the big damage dealer gone from BLG's side. The issue is Knight's able to show up, the Pot Blossom lands, and all of Weibo kind of got scattered. Breve was kind of a sacrificial lamb, as Zhao Hu and Light stayed alive. The team fight win for Weibo in the long run is not really enough, I don't think, for this Baron takers. On's just being ran down here. Zhao Hu unable to secure the lockup. It means that this Nico is still a threat on the map with the Pot Blossom ready. But the Baron being taken here, Mum gets thrown out as Tarzan's health bar is being slowly chipped away at. Skarner goes into backside, getting onto Chris, and look how much damage is done. Pot Blossom will land onto no one as Baron is secured by Weibo. The Impale comes through, and that's going to be Light pulled over the wall into the Skarner, which is the perfect place for BLG. Knight is on a rampage right now, as this Molder is able to pop off in these fights. And all while Weibo grouped up as 5, Bin was split pushing, getting the tier 3 in the bot side. And while you may have Baron, it's not going to be enough to stop the BLG onslaught, as the 5 alive members of BLG crack open the mid lane inhibitor. And this is the Nexus towers being targeted as Breathe is trying to pull the wave and cut it. But he's tagged by the Nico. And Knight's just going to push him back. The wave will crack onto Nexus towers through the mid lane. And they are gone. The Nexus in the sights of BLG. And game 1 goes to the first seed as they take down their Chinese counterparts. So, we've got one game in the books, and it was close. Sure, it didn't end in an explosive fight, but you could see how even these two teams kind of played it out. We just need to have basically the same for 4 more games, right? But a bit more explosivity onto the Rift. With game 1 in the books, I'm going to go back to standing. I kind of fell back into my chair during the first game, like halfway through, because my legs gave up. But yeah, we have 2 more games to go through. So let's get into game 2. Let's see how the drafts are adapted. Weibo stay on blue. BLG are on red. Silas removed. Rakan removed again by Weibo. Will it be the Ashe to follow up again from them, as Ori stays banned? And Yone banned by Weibo, realizing it wasn't the best pick in game 1. It gets removed in game 2. And does that mean that priorities will change? Ashe will be left up here by Weibo unless BLG remove it. Do BLG respect Light's Ashe? They do. So, what is the pivot here for Weibo? Skarner, Kalista, all good options. They go for the Kalista. Surely you lock in Jack Skarner again. Shun's had a flawless game on Skarner. It makes sense. Weibo kind of forced into Renata or Maokai. That was a ban in game 1. That's what BLG have given up here. Maokai, Renata. The lock-ins here. Either BLG get themselves Knight pick, or they go for a flex. I'd like Ziggs. It's flex as an option. It would probably have been banned going into phase 2, but with it left up, we get either Knight Ziggs or Elk Ziggs. I expect it to go to the bot side and just have double AD solos, but will that come into fruition? What options are there for these two teams? Well, it's a little harder for Weibo to kind of ban out solo laners, so I expect supports to be removed. You've got, I mean, you can go for, I don't know, you might want to go for maybe a rel ban here. Something engagey to set up this Jax. Smolder's gonna be removed, so essentially Weibo assume it's going into the bot lane, the Ziggs. So, Knight Smolder's gone. That was a menace in game 1. So I'm glad to see it go here in game 2. Nars removed as well as the brand, so the AP damage, clearly, that's telling me that BLG think the Maokai is going to top lane. I mean, it makes sense. Zyra is an option. But we'll see how this draft kind of rounds out. Poppy is still up and available. Unless BLG take it here for their support pick. That wouldn't be terrible. I mean, you'd stop the Kalista and the Maokai from really team fighting. That would be such a good support pick. But it's gonna be the Rel coming in here for on. I'm kind of surprised at that. Not because it's Rel, but because Poppy is still up and available. You could have gone for that support. Oh, Xiaohu throwing the gauntlet down. His Lucian, his infamous pick, is locked in for Weibo. And, well, my microphone arm, struggling to keep it afloat here. Well, that's an Elise as well. Syndra lock-in for Knight. It's a pick that we saw early into the tournament, but it kind of fell out. Finally returning here in this series. And it is a very solid pick. A 4-1 win rate here at Worlds. That's 90%, baby. And yeah. Only one team can win here. BLG, if they win this, they get to match point. Weibo tie the series if they take the win in game 2. Interesting drafts coming out from both teams. But Weibo are emphasizing early game activity with that Elise pick. We're going to see how this plays out for both teams as we load into game number 2 between the LPL's first seed and their third or fourth, one of the two. It doesn't really matter as we get onto the Rift for the second time tonight. The stakes are a spot at the World's Finals. And it couldn't be any closer after game 1. We come into game 2. BLG, very much the same MO as game 1. Sit back, scale, and play for late. Whereas Weibo, they've got this Elise. They've got this Lucian looking to get early game action and balloon their lead through pushing, basically. The split push threat of this Weibo comp is mainly down to this Lucian and how effective he can be at doing anything on the map. And BLG need to stop it. It's going to fall down to if Bin can get super fed. He will be the carry that's needed to pop off for BLG. As, well, it's 5 members towards this top side of the map. The smite from Skarner will land as that's the counter strike getting onto light, the crash down, and Weibo, their ADC is deleted. The continual chase from BLG can happen here as Breathe is gonna be the next target. But they turn immediately onto Xiaohu, getting his flash out. BLG, they kill off the enemy ADC due to a well-worked pincer of a protective play. Weibo are in it for the long run, it seems, as that early game power, the prowess they were going for, gets bullied and picked off as, let's be honest, Light stepped way too far forward, straight into Elk and Bin, who just immediately turn onto the targets, and that results in Light falling. Simple as you like for Weibo. Not Weibo, for BLG to get the play. And yeah, let's be honest, unforced errors out from a guy who's considered arguably one of the most safest and consistent ADCs in the LPL. And that's saying something, because a lot of their carries have either high or low moments. Light always seems to have consistently good moments, as once again the Elise is going to be forced to rappel up to the sky. The handshake's going to pull on out, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Support falls for top laner, and BLG, they survived the tower dive. And you think how many members of Weibo were pulled down to this bottom side of the map, whereas only 3 of BLG. It means that Shun's just able to power clear, as well as the fact that Knight, realistically speaking, has managed to ascertain control in mid. So, we watch this dive again. 4 members of Weibo down here. TPs and then the crash down from On forces this Elise into an awkward situation where she's not able to fight. Then the turnaround comes through onto Breathe, who tanks the tower shot. And that essentially is just an outplay by BLG, as Weibo realistically did not respect the potential turnaround. This Ziggs and has TP. He has more pressure on the map than this Callista. It's triple TPs on BLG as well, which is the important thing to say. So split push is a threat from them, as that's going to be Zhao, who locked up into place. The Scar of the Week will secure an easy pickup for Jun. And BLG, they're punishing the early game flashes they burnt. And we were saying how Weibo wanted to play an early game style. It's going to be exceptionally hard to do so with how this game's going so far. And you just look at the gold leads. That middle line in your bottom screen, all red in favor of BLG. And Weibo realizing it, forced to make a lane swap for these grubs in 20 seconds. They're trying to get Light some well-needed farm to kind of even the matchup out. He's behind by quite a bit, but the plating will not be able to be ascertained here. Top lane tower just takes exceptionally little damage in this early game. And while obviously there's a demolish proc from Weibo's support, it won't be much in terms of actual gold gainage. Because of that, because of the early game control, Weibo have kind of had to cede, as that's a flash trade coming out from the support for jungler, as the engage comes through here as Breeze tries to get on the backline. Zhao, who's trying to culling down the target, but Elk still stays alive. The flashes from BLG that they saved gets to pull him into safety. The handshake, though, will find Bin, and a good route down onto Elk will result in 2 kills over, though. Weibo, they're finding picks. They're trying to get their early game going. But Tarzan could be caught here, but it's instead going to be Shun and On being ran down by the spider. And it will just be Weibo getting more of a lead. The waves being prepped in topside, being slowly built up here for Light to get some needed plating, as Knight will not step up into this brush, plays it safe. And finally, Weibo start to get a lead as a Mega Inferno Bomb drop just to try and clear the wave. Just manages to do so, but another wave will come through. So more plates will go over to this Weibo side of things. And we take a look at the fight. It's initially a pick onto one, causing him issues, so he can't prevent Breathe getting into the backside. Then Xiaohu's free hitting into the fight, and realistically speaking, they isolate members. It's a nice stun that also lands onto Elk. I'm pretty sure it was a blind cocoon over the wall that does it. And that allows for Xiaohu to pick up a trade onto the ADC of BLG. Now granted, there isn't really an ADC on BLG's side of Rift. In fact, the only sort of AD that is outright AD or building AD is Bin. So the emphasis that I was trying to get at with Bin being the main carry in this game wasn't a joke. He needs to have a pop-off performance as the Fate's Call goes wide, but it doesn't really matter. Elk gets killed off, but in the mid lane, Xiaohu ran down and killed off by Bin. It's a 1-for-1 trade. ADC for mid laner, but Light's getting some well-needed gold. Turret plates are being secured as On rooted on the tower takes exceptionally large amounts of damage, and he's playing on the edge. He finally uses a crash down, but he's just killed where he stands. Light plays that effectively, and down goes the the support of BLG. Caught out under tower, and it puts Helk into a difficult situation. Meanwhile, Skarner being run down here. Xiaohu playing with fire. He's gonna deny the back. He has to. He does so, and Shun forced to walk back, take his red, and play it safe. So, let's take stock of the early game. Gold, about a 500 gold lead for Weibo. Currently sitting in the bot lane. It's a reverse of game number 1. And it looks to probably get a little bit larger as Elk going to be caught out here. Breathe TP'd behind him. The Ziggs is caught. And that's the Elise trapping him where he stands. It's unfortunate that Maokai gets a kill. But Weibo, they're finding picks across the map and utilizing their summoners to get them. So, they're also going to get some more plates top, which is smart as Shun is collapsing. The Skarner comes over the wall as Knight is here. Good handshake will keep the Skarner away as a hostile takeover is invested. That will disengage BLG from the play for realistically no cost of Weibo. And in fact, they're looking to get some more pressure themselves. The bot lane tier 1 threatened. Plating secured. TP burnt from Bin. And Weibo, well, the early game, it kind of looked a little dire. Honestly, giving over first blood, it looked like they weren't going to be able to play this game. The picks were blunders, but they've slowly but surely wrestled some early game pressure, gotten some power on the map, and BLG is struggling to kind of match it, as TP is going to be invested here. Second grubs are going to be ignored here by BLG, as they're looking for the pick. The Impale comes through, Counter-Strike Clans Breathe is killed, and the kills are going over to Bin. I said earlier, Bin needs to be the carry of BLG in this game. Closing in on that Trinity Force. And while towers are being traded even, and Weibo getting more and more of an advantage with these grub secures, all 6 will go over. BLG starting to feel the pressure I feel in this game. We said it was close in game number 1, but give me a second. Sorry about that. Dogs were being menaces. Anyway, as I was saying, BLG are kind of being strangled out of this game. The early game, I should say. And this is how Weibo kind of need to play this one. The Elise will only have power for so long. And then she kind of falls off a cliff. She doesn't have the same sort of, like, strength as these late game carries. This Syndra especially, with the burst she can put down. Now, BLG and Weibo are just trading towers. Weibo's is quicker. And yeah, more and more gold's going into light, essentially. Elk will get some of his own to kind of claw a bit back, but because of these 6 Void Mites, Weibo shred through these tier 2s. Just look how quickly they got that one. And they're probably going to be able to get out as well. This is a repeat of game number 1, if you think about it. Where they burnt through tier 2. But this time they get to secure an objective off the back of it. As they even out the Drake takes. And Weibo surprisingly had even amount of turret plates. I got to give credit where credit's due. I didn't expect BLG to have even turret plating. All things considered. As Bin's going to be tagged by a sapling. Won't be chased any further. But BLG, I think, are feeling the pressure. Weibo are ahead by 1k now. And Xiaohu is starting to hit like a truck. And while the lane economy snapshot doesn't reflect that, he certainly does have a bit more power with that Kraken Slayer picked up. So his trade patterns are going to be a lot more aggressive now with his first item. Sure, the Syndra has her own first with the Stormbringer, but I do still favour the Kraken Slayer in terms of itemization over it, because that's more burst after you've gotten the first kill. So I'd say that's still a more beneficial itemization for Weibo. Anyway, I'm going to sit down now because I'm getting really tired. Whew. I'm going to take this slow now. But essentially right now, the game is Weibo controlled. First items are online, and, well, I'll just say this, Elk won't have the same sort of impact right now as the sorry, I'm just moving my, so the annoying thing is my OBS is causing an awkward like yellow line on my screen and it's annoying. But as I was saying, this early game control by Weibo is good. It's what they needed to do. I've also got to give props where props is due to BLG for them being able to kind of match the pressure with early tower plating. Obviously, towers still sit in favor of Weibo due to the tier 2 securing. And that's mostly where the gold lies, is from the extra objectives that Weibo have ascertained for themselves. BLG do, however, have the better scaling. This Ziggs will continue to grow, and the potential fight in the top side has been Forces of Grandmaster's Might. Nature's Grasp is also going to be thrown out, which will tag on tonight. But Xiaohu TP's a scanner of weeks used to cancel the culling. Both top and mids disengage from the play. BLG obviously had the potential to make it a 3v2 with Elk TPing up there, but they keep the TP on their bot laner, which will allow for further plays to continue throughout this game. So Elk also answering the mid lane push coming through from Weibo. And, you know, the game as a whole is slowing down. The potential plays that Weibo can make are less and less because of the fact that you have to step further and further into the enemy side of the map and on. Well, we haven't really been able to talk about Tarzan too much this game. He's kind of been a bit more quiet on a champion that wants to get involved realistically in a lot of fights or ganks. And while he has got 4 assists, you have to feel that he would realistically have liked a couple of them as kills to be able to put pressure onto this map to contest a bit better into the enemy side of the rift. While this blue buff would have been contested and stolen away, it's so hard to do into a Syndra because she can use the Force of Will to pull the buffs over to her. It's just so goddamn difficult for Weibo to do anything aggressive into BLG's jungle. Now, the good thing for them is they're able to secure another Drake uncontested. The issue is they pretty much would have loved at this point to have gotten the first Drake as on. He misses the Q and burns his flash. The emote spam says it all. This Rel not able to find the pick they were after. With Herald dropped in mid lane, Nature's Grasp also channeled. The pick could come through here as Shun will not fall. It just is the crash into the tier 1 in mid. With all them Void Mites, I'm actually surprised how effectively BLG cleared the wave. But as we get ready, a potential play could come through as Light's forced to flash and cleanse. The Scatter of the Weak finding its mark. And Weibo, I'd say overstayed their welcome and get punished for it. Been left constantly on side lane duty as he's not really being threatened. He's just able to secure this push for the team. Now, BLG get to step forward. See that Weibo are in this top region. And that's about it, as my chair's making noise. I hate that it does that. Ugh. There we go. Much better. So, we're edging closer towards a big team fight. Soul Point on the table in 3 minutes time. Second items coming online. Baron is a possibility. I'm just taking a look at the items right now. I mean, Cosmic Drive second for this Syndra. A little interesting. A little less burst, more movement. I mean, it makes sense when you're dealing with Illusion who wants to be running you down. I like it. But I may have preferred a bit more resistance, as Mega Inferno Bomb's going to be used as Chris' health bar. Just being chipped away at. But on top side, Xiaohu's going to be pulled into the wall. The Impale's going to pull him straight towards Knight, who's going to allow for Jun to secure the pick. That's an easy catch out of the Weibo mid laner, who just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now BLG wrestle control of the blue side jungle, and they get towards the tier 2 in the top lane. Pretty uncontested now. BLG making moves on the map after finding a pick. Mega Inferno Bomb's going to deny the back. Oh. Yeah, Chris was unable to get his back off because Elk's delays. Just going to be able to force him, well, delay his back long enough so he can secure mid lane tier 1. I like it. The longer the spot's left out on the map, the less ward he's placing down. Because of that, On's been able to wrestle control around the Baron pit. So, Weibo, I'd say their tempo was slowed down so much that the control of the game that they had has gone. The gold's evened up, and BLG, I'd say, have control of this game. The next team fight will be pretty easy for them. The issue is, in the bot lane, realistically speaking, if BLG aren't able to lock down Knight, maybe Weibo win the fight. But they are very squishy, this Weibo comp. There's no Poppy on their side to kind of frontline, to be a menace. Instead, it's just a Maokai who is building tank and is setting up a potential play. The saplings have thrown down. I thought we were going to see a Nature's Grasp coming through to lock down Elkin on under the tower. Instead, Weibo disengage towards the third Drake of the game. For them, more than anything. And it is secured by light. So, we're getting there. Baron's on the plate for one of these teams as the TPs are going to come through. It's going to be Jun, force a flash away. But the flash off this scanner means it's incredibly hard to get in the pit unless you go charging in. The TP was also invested by Knight to get away. But the play comes through, the crash sound comes through, onto into the pit, but the smite secure from Weibo as the fight continues out. The hostile takeover does a lot of work, but it's going to be Light picking up the first kill. But down goes the Callista. It's a 1-for-1 trade, and Knight shown up again and is getting the picks that he needs for the team. Elk and Knight show up and are able to clean up this Weibo comp as Breeve's still alive. He's playing this well. The Scar of the Week is a possibility. In a few seconds, you have to feel it's dodged. But the Maokai, unable to escape. But could the potential kills go through? Xiaohu shows up. He sees the health bars. Dashing in, flashing away from the rail. But he is locked in place. The Scar of the Week secures his life. But he will trade it evenly in a 1-for-1. But in my opinion, that's still worth the BLG. As we watch this fight again as all the Baron buffs are gone. It's the immediate turn onto the Elise. And it does work. but she's bailed out for a little bit longer. Actually, it's Light that's bailed out. However, he doesn't get much of his health bar back, and he's just deleted from where he stands by, presumably, Knight's ult. Then it's a simple and easy chase down. While the Maokai almost makes it out, he just doesn't have enough health to get away from it. Plus, Darrell was continuing to chase. All the Barons, I think, are gone. As Weibo overcommit to the play. No, there is one still. I'm pretty sure Crisp has his. As the crashdown comes through, they've caught Light once more. The bailout will not provide him solace as the continual fight goes through. Breathe is being pinned down by Bin on one side, but he gets into the fight here and on falls. That being said, Maokai is isolated from his team and 4 members of the Scattered Week landing. Oh my days, that's massive. But 4 members of BLG are alive. They're finding 3 of Weibo. And this is just Weibo throwing the game away. A desperate play for the Baron, I feel, has cost them, as it's in the negatives. It's going to be even more negative once Elk drops a satchel. That's if he needs to. He doesn't even need to. He's just attacking it down. Shun almost burns to a crisp. Stays alive though. And yeah, Crisp and Light caught in the jungle. The Impale comes through and the Callista's isolated. A massive Ralult comes through. And while Xiaohu is trying to burn through On's health bar to allow Light to reset, it's not enough. And yeah, On's just baiting. He's forcing Breathe to dive into his team, and that's just causing so much issue. On's just playing selfless by sacking, and it's working. BLG are growing and growing a lead. They got a positive Baron for themselves by denying it away from Weibo. And now they're setting up control in towards this Drake to stop Soul. Now, the big thing about this game is there's no Keeper's Verdict. However, there is a Scar of the Week being prepped here. Breeze's isolated on the bottom side, Shun incredibly low. But will we see anyone fall? The answer is likely no, as both teams disengage. The Baron obviously gone, and Shun's health bar incredibly low, which means this Drake soul could be massive as so much burst comes through onto Crisp. If Knight was able to press ulti there, you have to feel the Renata would have fallen. Drake started up here. Shun's just healing up off blue, while this Drake is just being leashed. Neither team wanting to take it just yet, as Breeve's trapped in the pit. If he wants to escape, he's probably going to have to flash. Scatter a weak lands, but it isn't going to be able to stun. And that does give this Maokai a bit of solace to move around. Mega Inferno Bomb dropped onto the heads of 3 members. And that should disengage as Breeve's caught in the back of the pit. Scatter a weak lands. The Ignite ticks down on him. And it's going to be the first killer fight going over. The Impale misses as Chris gets pulled to safety as Light is just popping off in the back line. He gets a double, but it's going to be out trading one back as well as Knight. Callista could be isolated. The Counter-Strike channel to Scattered Weak also lands, but the burst from Knight secures the kill. Down goes the Callista and the Renata as Weibo lose the fight and erased by BLG, who are looking to march into the base with this Ziggs. The satchel not needed for this tier 3 in the mid lane, as he saves it for the Nexus towers. Game number 2 ends in swift and dominant kind of turnaround more than anything. as no real big fights happen. It's just sieging and turning a bad early game into late game dominance for BLG. And with that, we take the series to 2-0. Weibo swept a piece apart in game number 2. And I think we're going to get another dominant performance in game 3 as we enter draft once more. Weibo stay on blue, BLG on red, Silas Aurora. Will we see the same bans coming through? Rakan has been banned by Weibo every single game. Will it stay banned? Or will they change it up here? I think you have to change it up because that Skarner is such a menace. They continue to ban the champions that they play as Kalista is taken off the board. Ori still removed by BLG. Do BLG go towards the Maokai ban again, like in game 1? Or switch it up once more to what they banned in game 2? And I don't remember what that was. Ashe was typically the last ban from Weibo. Will that be removed here? No, it's the Rakan again. So, BLG either ban the Ashe themselves, knowing full well they can play Varus, they can play whatever they like, so they ban the Varus at Ashe, so Weibo, get choice here. Do they take the Skarner, the Yone? They have options, because they know full well BLG will take one of them. Yone, locked in once more for presumably Xiaohu. BLG can lock in once more Jax and Skarner. They can continue to take the same 2 champions as they've done for the previous 2 games. Weibo have not cracked the code of these 2 picks. And while Bin hasn't really been able to impact team fights, he's still had success on sides. I would like I wouldn't have liked the Ezreal here. Gives away a bit of the game plan, but Maokai and Ezreal come through. Maokai is still a flex. I like that for Weibo. The Ezreal into Kaiser matchup, I mean, Ezreal's safe. It means that I think Weibo may have expected a poke heavy ADC or comp from BLG. Second ban phase, Smolder probably will be removed here. Ziggs could be removed. I know it's not realistically a good option considering Kaiser's been picked up, but you have to expect maybe a Syndra ban. Smolder and Syndra would probably be the best bans for Weibo. Ahri removed. I get it. It's a mobile AP mid. So it could have potential on the map. BLG, how do they want to respond? The brand's gone. The Bounce House of Burn taken out in the ban phase. And Weibo, last ban in this game. They choose to take out presumably a mid laner. Syndra, I think, would be the best option, or Smolder. They take the Smolder away. And wait, BLG, what do they show us here? Support probably will be last pick. Get the counter pick if they want to. Or just give on the engaged champ. He didn't look the best in game 2 on Orel. A little bit of a misplay on it. But they don't. Instead it's Knights Akali. Oh boy. It's a melee versus melee mid matchup. It's a battle of the ages. Yone Akali. It's a test of skill, I feel, between the two mid laners. Who has the better of hands? The younger ones or the older ones? Who knows? Rumble locked in for Weibo. And that's an interesting comp. Is that Rumble support? Or Maokai support? Okay. If it's Maokai support, yep. Okay. Weibo have thrown down the gauntlet with an interesting draft. I like it, to be honest. You've got the equalizer being able to be thrown down onto fate-sealed targets. It's such a good combo, especially with that sedge. I like Weibo's draft. It's surprising, yes. And Chris kind of has more ward in his utility. But BLG, you have to fear their draft. They've got engage and it's a lot of dive. There's no, I wouldn't say peel or anti-dive, bar the Maokai. So Weibo kind of have to match fire with fire. It's two big brawly comps. Only one team, though, can advance, and it is match point for BLG. Game 3 could be it for Weibo and a shot at a championship. It could end here, and we couldn't see a rematch of the finals from last year. If that were to have happened, I would have been happy. Sadly, I'm not. But let us get into game number 3 between the LPL's 1st and 4th seeds. Only one can advance to London, where ticket prices are being ripped off and scalpers have ruined it for everyone. Game 3 kicks off now. No fan of 5 from Weibo, comparative to the one from BLG. And the early contest towards this bottom side of the river happens yet again. On an elk down here, as we take a look at summoners quickly. I think that was wrong for the Yone. No, it was right. I was looking at the electrocute. Anyway, summoners in favour. 1 second. That's going to annoy me. There we go. Yeah, summoners are in favour. Not summoners are in favour. Runes, I'd say, in favour of this Yone. I thought it was more so a burst build. It's a grass build. It's looking to sustain a little bit more comparative to his counterpart, who's going to look to burst him out. It is press the attack, Kaiser. So looking for the more attack speed orientated builds, less about the burst and the AP. As both bot lanes start up in the top lane. Kind of interesting. This leads me to believe that I'd say Weibo wanting to get the early, matching of lanes, because they realise that their bot lane is stronger. Early levels, Alistar obviously sucks level 1, because he has no way of getting in with the pulverize. And even if he does, he's then just the easy sitting duck. So BLG kind of losing out on the early level 1 trade, as On just is forced to cry basically under his tower because he's playing the cow. But while you sack early game pressure, you certainly get some map presence once you get to level 5, level 6 if you're this Alistar. And you're incredibly bulky, you don't forget. But someone who isn't incredibly bulky is Breathe, who just ticked over to level 2. Closing in on level 3 now, actually. Is susceptible to a tower dive. The counter strike is going to be a flash for flash trade that is match. But First Blood goes over to BLG as both top laners go all out against one another. Shun gets on the board first for his team. And that's advantage BLG. Now, what's good for Breathe is he can TP back. But we watch this tower dive again. Bin goes heavily in, matches the flash, and it's just the tower ramping up that secures the kill onto him. So the Jacks had no real escape. So while Breathe does have a slight gold advantage for himself, you have to realize the cost of it all was First Blood over to the Skarner. Now, Skarner as a whole doesn't really rely on damage too much in his kit. He's more so just frontline. And he really just wants to get his heart still, and he'll be content for the rest of the game. But someone who won't be content for the rest of the game is Tarzan. As topside, Headbutt pulls out from this Alistar, trying to keep himself alive. Mystic Shocks will go wide, and it's just going to be, I'd say, Light winning out on this trade on his own, as both supports incredibly low. Mid lane, I'd say because Knight can path down towards the scuttle, Tarzan going to have to cede that one. Shun will get control of the river for his team as the Drake spawns with 56 seconds away from Grubs, and I think we'll start to possibly see these two teams playing for that objective. Now, it is surprising to see Shun on this bottom half of the map still, and it does, I understand that you want to get push for Bin so that he can base and be able to join up for this Void Grub take, essentially, because he didn't invest CP comparative to Breathe. That's also because he pushed in the wave, you have to remember. The issue is for Bin is he is susceptible to a potential dive. Tarzan was looking for a gank. Will not be able to secure it as Knight's roamed up it. The headbutt pull combo goes through onto Chris. He will use the Bramble Smash to push him away, so no more follow-up of a play can come through from BLG. But because they're able to secure pressure topside, because the Maokai isn't able to stick around, it will result in two Grubs going over to BLG and the potential play to come through. They're trying to get onto this Yone, but his damage isn't that high right now. The Skarner will stick around and actually secure all three Grubs. Flashes out, the Fate Seal will not land. Headbutt away, and Knight's on the wrong side of the fight. Bin somehow caught out Crisp in the pit, and now Knight forced his perfect execution to safety. BLG somehow catch the support astray from his team and get away scot-free, unpunished, some may say, as all three Grubs were also secured. Just waiting for this Drake pivot from Weibo to come through, as, to be honest, the tempo of this game is starting to reflect what was in game number 1, where it was even, but BLG were able to play the map a little bit better. So, let's continue forward as Crisp could catch Elk here. looking to get at least a summoner. It will not happen as On shows up, mid lane Knight. Going to avoid the Yone Q3, but the chase down could come through as the Everfrost locks down the Akali in place. It won't be a kill as the headbutt pull comes through. Good buffer of the Arcane Shift from Light keeps him safe. So, as I get rudely interrupted, let's look at mid lane. Skarnet coming over the wall, Counter-Strike cleanse, and that's going to be Zhao Hu locked in place. It's an easy kill if they get it. Impel also invested, but yeah, no safety for Zhao Hu as the Yone's positioning just gets absolutely punished by Bin. Game number 2, we were saying that Bin needed to be a carry, but game 3, he doesn't have that same sort of need, but he's still able to do so. As he's looking for more, the Counter-Strike come through. Crisp is the target. The health bar being just chipped away and deleted. And these are the two bruisers of BLG standing in front of this Ezreal and this Yone. Fate Seal's going to come through and Descana's going to be target up here. Jun's just going to sacrifice himself and give over the kill. It will allow for the rest of his team to escape. But BLG aren't going to be punished without any cost for Weibo. Bit of tower damage down in mid lane, and Knight's already passing down to the bot side tier 1. He's looking to push that one out too to possibly get a plate. Now, the good thing is, Breve, I think, will be able to respond in time. So, it is responded well here, but let's take a look at this play again. Simply put, Chris just gets a good twisted events to deny the Skarner lockup. And while that's all well and good, Bin's just got a lot of damage right now. Able to survive a lot. The bruisery Skarner able to kind of just tank up a bit more of the damage. Shun then obviously has no escape tools. So he just plays Sacrificial Lamb as Bin jumps to safety with the rest of his team. BLG sitting with about a 600 gold lead right now over Weibo, who are falling behind, trying to set up right now for this second spawning of Grubs. BLG secured the first set and probably want to get all 6. Their comp isn't the same sort of sieging style that they had in game 2. And so Grubs have a little bit more value for them here because it kind of gets them a little bit more amplified in terms of how they play the map. Now, as a whole, they don't need to contest these because they already secured the first 3. So happy to give these ones up. An even trade 3 for 3 in the long run. But they will be able to make a play for this Drake. And that is the cost of the play for Weibo. The counterplay on the other side of the map, as you would typically hear me call it. So, next Drake is Chemtech. Means that Soul is either going to be really good or Cloud. As these two teams probably are looking for a good Soul Mountain. Hex Soul, also an option. But yeah, that will come down to execution as On could be jumped on here. 3 members of Weibo in the area. Could have been an easy pick if they dove onto the Alistar. There's no real response from BLG if they did. Meanwhile, topside Zhao Hu goes all in onto Bin, forcing him back. But you just realize he has the backing of his team. Tarzan in the area will mean that BLG are forced back under their tower. But there's no real threat onto Bin's life right now. Demolish Prot comes through. And it's a little bit more damage down. I'm pretty sure he also got a plate off the back of that there, Zhao Hu. So Some nice gold into his pocket. A nice 400 gold lead over the Akali. Mostly through CS. But Knight is kind of cornered. Breathe. We'll just do-si-do around one another. And the Rumble gets basically to safety through Xiaohu's pathing. So, 12 minutes on the clock, a minute away from this Herald. Both teams onto their first items, or starting to complete their first items. Static Shiv for the Kaiser. Obviously, the attack speed heavy build. Getting this nice Static Shiv to clear waves early is very good. Means that you get to ascertain a bit more control of the matchup, as I'm pretty sure Ben didn't secure the cannon there. So, +1 to Xiaohu. Yeah, first item's coming online. Trinity Force secured for Light, who has got a cull, so kind of expecting this sort of trade as topside. Fate Seal's going to be jumped onto. Denies the escape for Xiaohu. Does get the flash out, and if that counter-strike landed, you had to feel the killer instinct was following it. And Elk would have been immediately into a play. And Elk obviously has got the 1 assist, and yeah, just look at the turret plates comparative to game number 2, where 11 fell on both sides. 3 and 4 equivalent to absolutely nothing in this one. As Herald started up by Weibo. Laying the comp. I think Xun's having a good game. Comparative to Tarzan, who's been quite quiet. Bin on the flank. Breathe needs to play respectful here. He does so, drops the equalizer. I think he knows that there's a dive coming. Just clears the wave, but Bin on Elk and Knight show up. And this Alistar with the ulti is just too goddamn bulky. And it means that the Weibo top laner just is deleted on the tower. Nothing really to do to escape from that. And yeah, BLG tempo plays favorable to them as Xiaohu shows up bot side. Will stop this tower from falling. But yeah, to be honest, BLG, comparative to game number 2, don't have the same sort of scaling. And same sort of scaling they had in game number 1. But I'd still say the later this game goes on, the more favourable it is for them. The Skarner gets more health through Heartsteel. Further game goes on, because it means there's more fighting. It means there's more chances for him to auto. But to be honest, at this stage, topside, Breeve's going to be dove on once more. This time the perfect execution's going to be exhausted, and the engage from BLG is perfect. The TP is also going to be used here by Knight to get safety. Realizing the collapse was coming through, Weibo lose their top laner once more. As BLG, they're forcing plays onto this map. It's good League of Legends for them. And Weibo struggling to punish. They've not been able to really make their own form of play for the last 60 minutes. It's been BLG dictating the tempo of the fights, and they're looking for more here. Now, the good thing for Weibo is they secured a Drakers. On's going to be caught out here. The Alistar isolated, but he pulverizes Tarzan into the pit. Surely the Skarner has a pull, but that's a massive impale. It gets Crisp into the pit, and now the continual play can happen. Over the wall goes Zhao, who is just deleted in the backside of the pit. The equalizer's dropped, but Knight is still alive. The health bars of Weibo are so incredibly low, but BLG's is lower, and they're all falling to Light. It's a double kill to the ADC, and he's looking for more, but he cannot get it. Instead, it's just 3 members deleted from the fight in a matter of seconds. As Weibo just catch BLG unawares more than anything, as On basically overstepped his mark. But I was looking for more there. The way Jun was positioning felt like the potential fight could happen. As we watch it again, simply put, Rel goes too deep, gets caught, and then forces Tarzan into a fight. The Impale is massive because it gets a Maokai, but that Fate Seal from Xiaohu just forces all of BLG into this awkward situation where the health bars are just incredibly low. Light's just free firing in the back of the pit. True Shot Barrage is massive as well. And yeah, the auto attacking and free hitting Ezreal pops off. And that results in a big teamfight win for Weibo. It gives them a gold lead in this game. And yeah, that teamfight damage clearly tells you how easy it was for Light to play it. Now, BLG will probably secure a tier 1 in the bot side as perfect execution is going to be used. Xiaohu looking to trade. The Impale gets flashed away from. And Weibo's mid gets to stay alive a little bit longer. Just taking stock of inventories. Rumble already got a Seeker's Arm Guard right now, so he's looking to fight anytime, really. 2 U items now picked up onto the Ezreal as the Mirror Mana picked up, fully stacked up tier as well, so it instantly transforms into Manmune. Or the Mirror Mana, whichever one it is. It's the reverse of the other. Cheap items into the inventory. Sejuani has the Zeke's Convergent already, so a little bit more slowing when she casts the ult. And to be fair, that's kind of good into this Akali, because you kind of want to be locking her down. Same with the Kaiser. So it is a decent item. It's cheap as well, so you're not really over exerting your income to get it. But yeah. Oh, as my neck cracks, it's time for one of these 2 teams to crack the game wide open. Towers are being traded evenly across the map. As the win probability graph, well, it's close to even, but it does sit in favor of Weibo after that teamfight win. It did swing a 1k gold lead to them, but we need to consider a few things. Where BLG have their advantage isn't in mid or jungle or ADC. It's in their top lane. Bin this series, it's felt like he's been quiet. It felt like he's been punished, but he is causing commotion on sides. He's causing the tempo plays for BLG. You're going to overcommit to this side of the map? Great, I'm just going to get this and that. And Weibo haven't really had a response. The issue is, I feel though, Breathe has kind of been forced onto these tanks in this game. The Poppy in game 1, the Maokai in game 2. They don't provide the same sort of impact as a Rumble or one of these AD carry tops, the likes of Dinar, the Renekton. He's kind of been forced to match pressure or kind of sponge the pressure that Bim wants to put down. And Weibo can't really do much. They will, however, start this Drake. They will secure it, but BLG looking to contest. The Impale comes through, and that allows the Killer Instinct into the back line. Fate Seal does land on massively, but the health bars still favour BLG. The first kill of the fight goes over to Shun, as that's a massive execution. Night finds light And he's going to look for more as Crisp is isolated on the wrong side of the map. He's going to be ran down here. He's not even going to die just yet. Trying to back. Knight will deny it. Twisted advance, but it's not enough. Akali's on a rampage. And BLG are on the Baron. We need a replay of that fight. Because I'm intrigued how Light gets caught by Knight. I'm pretty sure it is just an R1 through onto him, but Light needs to be playing safer. And I was just wondering where his protection went. So we watch this again. I want to keep my eyes on Light. So he's collapsing down. Crisp goes in. It's a TP in from Knight. And he's just isolated. Light can't get into the pit because he doesn't want to go in. But he's trapped against the Akali. And yeah, Akali has free reign to burst him out. The Stormbringer just does so much damage. And the burst that it gives just means that there's no way for the Ezreal to teamfight. And he just dies. Simple as you like. Good work there by BLG. Bad work by Weibo to leave their ADC alone. Their only winning member on the map. And it could be even worse as Xiaohu, fate sealed, will allow him to get away thanks to his flash. It felt like an overcommit of abilities there for really just a flash burn. That's all you really need to do. Could have saved the ulti for a few seconds. But it is what it is. Instead, the engage comes through here in the mid lane. On goes in as the mid lane tier 1's going to be the target though for BLG. It's just a sacrifice of the support to get the tower. The kill goes over to Breathe, but in the long run, that's worth for BLG because they crack open another tower, giving them more access to the jungle. Xiaohu once again going to be caught out. No flash now. And Knight secures the pick-off. But Elk and Shun caught out. The equalizer drop. The Impale's massive. The perfect execution gets Light. Wow. Knight is popping off in this fight. He finds the ADC. Gets the triple kill. And BLG are on the push for the base. The carries fall. And this tower should fall as well. The Baron in the back pockets of BLG. The base is in tatters. 25 minutes on the clock. And Weibo, they're overcommitting. It was a 4v5 regardless of the health bars of the BLG members. They lose it. And Knight 7-0-3. The raid boss of this game on an Akali. The response from Weibo needs to be a shutdown. But I don't think they can. He's gotten so goddamn strong and he's just able to burst out the Ezreal. While this pick initially is just good, they know Joe who invested so much under the tower. Knight's able to secure an easy kill. He uses the R1 there. He saves it for so long. And then boom. Into the backline. So much burst down. It's a Q and auto attack to execute off Light. Crisp is too weak. He's so squishy. And yeah. No way for Ezreal to play this game. Weibo drafted it for long range poke. Long range safety. In this game, but it's not finding safety because Akali's chase down is so good, and the potential play is a 3-man impale comes through. The killer instinct puts Elk towards the rest of his team, but Shun is the first one being burnt down. Crisp is deleted by the Maokai as now the Kaiser gets a free fire in. It's 3 members down already and Light is forced to try and fight, but he is caught out, flashing to safety, but Bin jumps on him and is deleted from the rift. BLG ace out Weibo and end this series in a dominant statement game. 3-0 to the LPL first seed as they advance to London. The easiest 3-0 I've seen. Game 1 looked close, but BLG played the map better. Game 2, BLG just played the map better. In Game 3, Akali diff. To be honest. It was a clean, crisp Game 3, if you pardon the pun. BLG couldn't put a step wrong in Game 3. It looked dire from Weibo. It felt like they'd just given up. And to be honest, there's no real impact they could find on the map. Never give Yone to Xiaohu, it seems. I don't think he understands how to play the pick. But the Akali just had better fingers. Outplayed him. And that ended the series there. Tomorrow, we have Gen GT1 to round out my week. And then we'll have predictions tomorrow as well. I'll do it during the stream. Because I'm going out on Friday and I can't make video in time. So yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope you had a fantastic stream. I'm gonna go bed now because I am tired, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.